Hi everyone, I'm so happy to be back today with Kim Damigard, and we started a series of sort of life unfiltered of chatting between us two ladies with the audience in this chat with us. That's how we feel anyway, about all the issues that are affecting us all, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings, our view on reality. So we're back for part two today. How are you doing, Kim? Oh, by the
It's
way,
good.
Bill says Ole, but that's fine. Everyone knows it's Kim.
Oh, should we change it?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Sorry, we've just changed the name on the screen because I'm very lucky to be speaking to you today. But yeah, how's things with you at the moment, and what's coming up in your world?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, isn't it? I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before you hit record. And it seems like your week has also been a little bit up and down since we talked last. You hear me still?
I can hear you, but you've frozen.
Yeah,
That now you're back. Now,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
roller
Yeah, now
coaster.
you're back
I'm
as
on a roller
well.
coaster at the moment. Yeah.
Cyber. Yeah, yeah. But I feel also because we're starting this Joe Dispenza week on Monday, it's normally when you sign up to stuff like this, it starts way before you even, start it. So that's going on a lot in my head, and I'm intrigued and excited, and at the same time, I know certain things that I need to deal with, basically. But it's like we said before, I'm fine. I'm
Mhm.
fine. It's a typical women thing, isn't it? How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But how are you really? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really interesting what you said, Kim, about the Joe Dispenza. I want to come on to the I'm fine. And I love the fact that Coco, one of my girl cats, is joining here as
Oh.
well. She's really enjoying the conversation. I'll come on to the I'm fine because I think that's really important. But the intent, you hit on something really important there that I think affects all of us in terms of you've got something coming up next week, that you're excited, it's a new stage of
Mm.
discovery, but the physiological and the emotional changes start happening in our body long before the actual event.
Yeah.
See this a lot in real life as well. So at the moment, for example, I'm being contacted by a lot of people and having these thoughts myself. There's the anticipation. Everyone's talking about elections, everyone's talking about
Mm.
Olympics, everyone's talking about these big events, and is something going to happen? And that humans and people always say animals don't have this. I'm not so sure that that's
Mm.
strictly true.
Yeah.
The more I work and live with animals, the more I realize most of what we've assumed about their level of consciousness is completely wrong. But let's stick to us humans for today. This anticipation and the effect that our thoughts, conscious or subconscious, can on our physiology, on our mindset, on our
Yeah.
day-to-day lives is huge, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just controlling our thoughts, controlling this monkey mind that is running around. It's almost a full-time job.
Yes.
Yeah. The one time where I kind of disconnect completely, if I have a good meditation or if I paint or if I'm in the garden, because then I focus on that task and it seems for me that works really good. And, here in Bali, we hardly wear shoes. I need to put flip-flops on sometimes because otherwise I burn my feet. That's the problem when we go out. But otherwise, grounding in that way really helps me.
That's
And
so
you with your animals, isn't it? I mean, you have the garden nature as well, and um
yeah,
animals.
it's really important for me, and I think the grounding is so important, but I'm not lucky enough to be able to go bare feet most of the time because it's normally freezing cold and actually a lot of brambles and things. But that is important, and you reminded me of something there,
Yeah.
Kim, that my grandma used to be a really big gardener, and she was still gardening until her early 90s, until the day she dropped dead. And she always used to say that when she put her hands into the soil, it's like it took all the pressures and the stress away.
Yeah.
And one of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things
yeah.
that sort of brings me back to is in today's sort of world of spirituality where we're all trying to discover ourselves and deal with these things that we're now more aware of and are talked about more, do you think it's easy to forget that actually these day-to-day living things like cooking, like gardening, like to even buying your groceries, whatever it might be, about how we can incorporate a lot of those spiritual ways of being into those day-to-day tasks?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. In everything, really. I mean, I'm a big, I've been in yoga philosophy, which is actually 90% of the yoga. The 10% is physical, but that's been in fashion now for such a long time. And people normally forget the philosophy of yoga. And in that is something called ahimsa, which is non-violence. And people think, oh my God, of course I'm not violent. And I'm like, yeah, but that is with everything, how you slam the door. What did the door do to you? Or how we are in our head and minds to ourselves. Because I can sign for my mind being my worst enemy towards myself. I'm critical, I'm hard, less and less actually,
Yeah.
but it's still there, it's like, oh, well, I can't do this or whatever. And then we were talking about that, I can't.
Mm.
And that is just grounded in something, programmed from school and childhood, that maybe I'm not good enough, or what are other people going to think, and all that. So yeah, it comes and goes, I feel. What about you?
It definitely comes to go for me. I definitely have times, like a couple of things have come up over the last week over finances, for example. Like I've had quite a lot of unexpected expenses, which I think everyone's dealing with. It's one of the main things
Mm,
that I get people contacting me about stress. And it's
mm,
ironic really in this world. It just shows how much as humans we live in our head, because people that have got a lot of money are really worrying about where to put it because they don't think anywhere's
mm,
safe. The banks, is crypto
mm,
corrupted, gold or
mm.
silver, you're actually going to be able to get to it and use it. There doesn't seem any obvious, easy solution. So whether you've got money, and then those people that
Yeah.
haven't got money, it's the opposite. It's like, I know there's all these wonderful solutions out there,
Mm,
all these lifestyle choices I could make, but I don't have the funds to make them, which puts even
yeah.
more stress because then I feel I'm really missing out on things I need. So,
Yeah.
and we spoke last week about, being able to now get access to good food, good water.
Yeah.
So I think this idea of I can't and the stress hits everyone, and it can come up when you least expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, the sort of rumblings that are below the surface that we might be
Mm.
saying, I'm fine, and not,
Yeah, yeah,
the signs are often there. What have you
yeah.
done with your practices, with your spiritual practices, self-development practices, about first and foremost how people can be honest about themselves and recognize this is an
Mm.
issue, and then
Yeah.
about tools and techniques of what to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it last week a little bit as well, Catherine, how to become whole and how to know yourself better. Because we can't really change anything on the outside. We have to change from within, and then the environment outside changes. It really does.
Mm.
I think it was David, what's his name? I remember in a minute. Who said change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And
Wait,
that is
Dyer.
so 100% Wayne Dyer.
Yeah,
Thank you. Oh, I shed a tear when he died. He has given
yeah.
so much. I mean, he was the spiritual father of the West, I think. So, and it's true. It really is true. But then to control that and actually do it as well, how you look at things and how you behave and how you act and how you plan. I'm a big planner and organizer. I've just got that in me, and I like it. But to let go and just, okay, who am I? And that's so much harder than looking at the finances or the grocery list or what I need to do around the house or whatever, and take that time, because it takes a lot of time and effort and practice to actually get to know yourself. Um, So my daily practice, if I'm disciplined, I get up, I drink my liter of hot lemon water. I take my whatever I need to take supplement wise, and then I meditate and I write my journal. I do my grateful things, and then 3 times a week we work out. So we have a personal trainer that knocks on the door. Otherwise, I wouldn't do anything because I'm lazy that way. I'm not a person that goes to the gym. So that's kind of my morning thing. And when I do that, it carries me the whole day. And with the meditation, I find it's not the only way, because I like to read books and I like to see what other people think and how they step forward into getting to know themselves better. But meditation and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is the science of the mind in the yoga philosophy, has helped me a lot. So yeah.
So many resources out there for
Yeah.
people. But let's touch on
Yeah.
the discipline side of things, because whether you can have a personal I'm like you, I'm not a gym person.
Yeah.
If someone came to the house, then I would do it. And it's often that mentality that if you paid for it, you're going to do it.
Yep.
Which is why there's this energy exchange around money for free. But before we get on to the talking about that discipline, I've been thinking a lot about this over the last few years, and I know we don't really know what history was and what life was like at different stages. That's all up
Yeah.
now. But let's say some of it's true. And it wasn't that long ago, even when I grew up, I can remember it was a full-time job for my mum to look after us, the house, and feed everyone, because we didn't have great big supermarkets. You went to the baker and you went to the butcher,
Yeah.
to the greengrocer, we didn't have convenience food, so everything was prepared from scratch. And you did the washing and the ironing and the cleaning, and we didn't have a tumble dryer or anything like that. So people in history have been very, very busy just doing what we would call daily tasks
Yeah.
to survive and live. Do you think part of the problems we've got now in modern society is people have got too much time on their hands, too much time to be self-indulgent with their emotions and thoughts?
Yeah. And I think we complicate it as well.
Hmm.
And after as soon as Wi-Fi and internet and everybody's got everything in their hand these days, we complicate it. My teacher, she always said, before enlightenment, chopping wood, collecting water. After enlightenment, chopping wood, collecting water. And then in between that, after we complicate it, and I feel myself doing that as well. And people who have a lot of money, for example, and have too much time, they create problems. I've seen that so many times, myself included, actually. Not that we're rich in that sense at all, but it's nonsense that goes around in the head. So the discipline then goes out the window with things that are actually of importance. So if we can just not complicate it so much. I think I asked my teacher many years ago, and I said, what goes on in your mind, on a day-to-day basis? And she said, I don't think a lot. I'm like, interesting. Because she's up at 3-4 o'clock every morning, meditating 3-4 hours, and then it's calm. So that peace of mind, I'm aiming for a lot. So to have it more and more in my life. And hopefully it comes, we age, we're getting older. I'm like, a bad hair day. Oh, saw it, I put a hat on like I did today. I didn't feel like washing my hair. So instead of complicating it, we can always find easier solutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such good
You
advice.
froze again.
Yes, I know it keeps freezing the internet. So, but we're plowing through. Yeah, I think this those habits and the discipline is
Yeah.
absolutely crucial to all of us. And again, a lot of people have gone from the stage. I mean, you and I both had children. We know that our life now is very different to when we had toddlers running around and babies.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be disciplined then because you haven't got
Yeah.
any choice in the matter. And then it's almost like the easier life gets, the more choice it is, and therein then can cause this monkey mind to go mad.
Mm.
I think discipline and motivation are quite two different things. I mean,
Yes.
what do you see as the difference between those, and how can it help people by understanding the difference?
Well, discipline for me is more, yeah, if I keep my daily practices, mind, body, soul, or mind, body, spirit, that is actually good for me and nobody else. Motivation, it could be motivating to do the discipline as well when you start seeing the results. Sometimes that takes a long time, but motivation, yeah, it can be. It could be I mean, it depends who you are, I guess. Then again, there again, you have to know what motivates you. Uh, is it money that motivates you, or is it free time that motivates you, or is it just being having a place in nature, or an apartment in New York City, or what motivates people is very different. But for me, the discipline is more inward, I think, and taking care of all this, the meat suit, my mind and my spirit. So yeah, that's a good question. What about you? How do you see the difference in discipline and motivation?
I think motivation, I think it takes a lot of energy. Um,
Mm,
and people can get very motivated at the start of, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to change my job,
mm,
I'm going to develop a new skill or something. And then at the start, motivation can be very high. But I think if any change in your life is just built on motivation, I think the chances of success are pretty low. Because,
mm,
as you say, it's very external rather than
mm,
addressing the actual real internal things of what have I got to take responsibility to do each and every day to achieve it. So
yeah.
I love looking at athletes and sports people, and I know in today's world that's almost like a dirty word that people just criticize whole groups of people for
Mm,
being in the control in the matrix, but I see it
yeah.
quite differently, in terms of the fact that when you see the discipline that top sports people have,
Mm,
and how, because they've got a set goal, so they're motivated to achieve their goal, but what
hmm,
actually achieves the goal isn't the motivation, it's the daily habits.
yeah.
Like they said, it's what you do in training, it's how you show up in training that affects how you show up in the competition. And
Yeah.
I see that as quite a good analogy for life. It's like, uh,
Absolutely.
we
But it
know,
feels like motivation is attached maybe to a goal,
yes,
and discipline is more, you do it. But motivation, yeah, I feel maybe that's attached to a goal.
yeah,
And that's something I'm dealing with as well, non-attachment, because Jesus, the
exactly.
non-attachment, not even to your children, it's like, how can I not be attached to them? But it is freeing to be more and more in non-attachment. But yeah, motivation, I think, it's a goal attached to it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. And I think discipline, I honestly feel, and let us know, everyone who's listening to this, let's be honest with ourselves. How good are we at our own discipline? Discipline is something that
Mm,
as a child is often enforced upon you, but as an adult, it's down to you to do the work. And
mm,
I think a lot of us, it's much easier to go and listen to a video, or go and talk to friends about some disaster that's happening, or something that you can criticize. At the moment, politics is everywhere. We've got our voting tomorrow.
mm,
um
mm.
Americans, different situation, that's going on a lot. It's
Yeah,
very easy to use excuses to distract ourselves from the daily discipline, but
yeah.
when we sit there and look at our lives and sort of say, look, what's working well, fantastic, do more of that. What's not working, okay, what can we change? I think
Mm.
normally it's the discipline, because most of us do know what to do
Oh yeah,
a lot of the times, or at least a lot of it. Some stages,
yeah.
if you're going through an addiction or something and that's new to you, that might be
Mm,
different. But on a lot of the common sense things, we do know what habits and disciplines would make life easier for ourselves. And our
Absolutely, yeah.
emotions more
But I
control.
think we complicate it there as well, because we make it so big. If I speak to people that has never meditated, for example, if I just take that, they say, oh, I can't do it, it's crazy, I can't do it. But just taking that thing, we complicate that as well, because we think we need to sit down for half an hour and just empty our head. That's not going to work. Start with a minute a day. Or if you're going to train weights, you're not going to start with 20 kilos, because that's going to be impossible. So again, with the discipline, I do this as well, because I think, oh, I want to, and then I attach a goal to my discipline, which then I'm lost already, because that's not the point. The point is just doing it slowly, and yeah, and then slowly you're getting better as well. But we complicate it, and I can feel for myself, I want to do everything because I'm a doer, and then all the signs now is like, I need to chill, I need to take a step back, I need to step slowly and gently, and so, which is hard if you have a personality that likes doing, but it can be too much as well. But the discipline, we complicate, I feel. If we take ahimsa, non-violence, just do that for an hour, 1 hour a day for a week, and see how, and then you can build up to just really, really not being violent in your thoughts towards yourself, or judging anybody else, or slamming the door or the dishes because you're pissed off, or if you're angry with the dog because it pooed over there, or whatever it is. Just take 1 hour and start like that. Makes it easier for me.
Yeah, it's such good advice. It really is. And I think, you know, the gratitude really plays into that a lot as well, I think, because the fact that we've got time to incorporate these things into our lives is huge. There's a lot of people that really haven't, but then they'll do like my grandma used to, is her mindfulness, her meditation was combined with gardening and growing food, and creating a peaceful energy around her. So when we're talking about the energy, I've heard you talk about this before, and it's something that it's so obvious, but it's so true. We all know we can interact with someone and they can either uplift us or put us down. And we've all been in those situations where we can read it on a conscious and subconscious level.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said at the start, Kim, about we can't really change stuff outside of ourselves. It's such a cliche and we fight so hard against it, but it's true, isn't it? So getting people to understand, getting ourselves to understand how important it is that we go through life in this non-violent, non-judgmental way. Because the judgment, I mean, is unbelievable. How anyone even wants to be in a public position with all the judgment that goes on. It's me. So I really hope you're enjoying this podcast as much as I am. And I just wanted to take a little break to tell you about the amazing products by the sponsor of this podcast, the biophotonic EMF and bioresonance devices, which help us take our healing to the next frequency. So let me start with the bioresonance devices. Biophotonic have two amazing little devices, the little BioNexus and the biophotonic, and both of these are really the next generation in bioresonance devices. So let's start with the little BioNexus. This amazing little device literally sits in the palm of your hand, and it's now my go-to support, especially when doing my daily manifestations and affirmation practices. But it will balance out my frequency to work on whatever needs balancing for me right here, right now. So what are some of the benefits of this little BioNexus? Improved energy, decreased inflammation, supports our immune system, psychological homeostasis. But also it supports the integrity of the cells, improves our memory, cognitive, emotional and psychological states, and speeds up recovery. And just like we've been talking about today, it really improves human consciousness support. Now, the other bioresonance device, the biophotonic, absolutely amazing little device, comes preloaded with a range of therapies. And this will clear parasites, giving active protection. You can wear it with you. It comes in a little pouch that you can wear around your neck. and it detoxifies heavy metals, clears EMF radiation out of cells, cleanses bacteria and viruses, detoxes chemicals and toxins, DNA repair, pain repair, you name it. And it's even got calming meditation practices that, well, complexes that you can run to strengthen the aura field, and frequency packs can also be added to your water. I think we all know the detrimental effects now of mobile Bluetooth and EMF radiation. They've been extensively studied, and I've done loads of videos on it. So minimizing our exposure is crucial. So what's really key is both the Biophotonic and the BioNexus. They're standalone, lovely little devices that don't require Bluetooth connection, a Wi-Fi connection. You don't need to buy any frequency packages. There's no subscription fee, and you don't need a mobile phone to control them. There's no electrodes. They're completely wireless, ready to use straight from the box. So you can get these and a full range of EMF protection devices that you can use for yourself and your pets. Don't forget to use coupon code CE20 to get 20% off all products, including the EMF protection. Thank you. And now back to the podcast.
Absolutely.
What have you learned? Well, I know it's such a huge subject, but what are some of your real aha moments that have hit you about, oh my goodness, it really is all about controlling my energy, whether you want to call it vibration, whether you want to call it subconscious mind?
Well, I feel the more I listen to my body, I can see if you put yourself in a situation or around people and you know right away, I don't want to be here. You know, and if you really tune into your body is starting to physically move away from that situation. So for me, being more and more in tune with that, and also giving me that space that I don't have to be here if I don't want to. I don't need to go into this if I don't want to. Nobody's forcing me. I can make that choice. And what they then think about me is none of my business. And that's a tricky one as well, because you might, you know, hurt somebody, or that we don't want to do. But yeah, when I'm more and more in tune with my body, I feel then I can disregard the wicked in an easier way, you know. So if that's an aha moment, I don't know. I'm still a work in progress around that, because sometimes I stay because of politeness, or I'm programmed and raised that way. You can't leave now. They've expected you and they're happy to see you. And I just feel my whole body is going, oh no. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question there, but how do you do?
Very similar, really. I mean, I am such a big component of our bodies giving us all the signs. I mean, again, I'll bring it back to, I love learning from animals. So you can tell an animal whether they're approach your energy field or not. And they've been my biggest teacher. So my two rescue ponies that I've got at the moment, well, one's not really a rescue. He was wild, living wild for the first 4 years of his life. But unfortunately, a lot of those get sent off to a very unpleasant end. So the one that was living wild is Romeo. He's my best teacher, Kim, because he doesn't put up with any crap from me.
No.
We are so close, but he just doesn't put up with any crap. So say if I'm really frustrated or angry or really worried about something and I go into his space, he just doesn't even need to come anywhere near me. He looks at me and he literally sends me a message like, whoa, back out, get yourself sorted, then come back into my and if I ignore that, he'll fuck off and say, well, if you're not listening, I'll do it for you. Now, my other rescue pony, who has been passed around from pillar to post, he's very stoic and absorbs a lot. And he doesn't tell me. He's just like, oh, okay. You know, and the two personalities are absolutely brilliant. So whereas I can fool myself, I can't when I'm in their presence. I just can't, because it's so clear bad. So what I've learned to do is just take that and just really just own it, and just sort of say, yeah, you know, I might argue back. If a person tells me, are you okay? You look really stressed. I might snap back and say, no, I'm not. I'm fine. But when they do it, because there's no judgment in it, it's just a protection. It's so much easier to take.
Yeah.
And I'm only reactive to judgment if I'm judging other people. I mean, we know
Yeah.
that on a
Yeah.
spiritual
Yeah.
level. So therein, it's a mirror back
Absolutely.
up to me to say, I can't criticize that person of being judgy
Mm.
because it's all
Mm.
me. If I didn't have
Yeah.
that emotion in me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be judging them. It just doesn't
No.
happen.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
simplifying it right back to there,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
children do exactly the same. Children are so honest in their
Mm.
communication,
Love
particularly
it.
young children. So I laugh about it now, Kim. I didn't used to. Meet me 10 years
Mm.
ago. I didn't used to. I take it all very seriously. But now
Yeah.
I just laugh and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Off I go.
Yeah.
Back out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can
Yeah.
literally be 30 seconds of breathing exercises.
Yeah.
Because once you're aware of it, you can change it. But
Yeah.
when you're, I get a lot of people messaging me saying, I can't do this, it's all right for you. I can't, I'm born this way, I can't change anything in my environment. And it's so heart-wrenching because we
Mm.
think they're there, but we can all do something, even if we just change our breathing,
Yeah.
change everything.
Yeah. 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 A couple of breaths, it's almost, yeah, it resets the nervous system. So yeah, it's sad when people say, "Oh, I can't." And so many sitting in the sofas at home watching the brainwashing, fear-mongering machine we call the TV and complain, and I can't do that. And normally it's because they don't have money
Yeah.
or they haven't got the right passport to travel. That could be one as well. But we can though. I'm like, yes, you can. No, you have to be so brave to do it. Yeah, but the universe really is happy with you for being brave. And the universe conspire against or towards you when you're brave. Really, it really works that simple. I feel anyway.
Oh,
When you
you're,
step out of that comfort zone, but it's comfortable. It's comfortable in the sofa. I'm like, I can't. Yes, you can. You
do you think
can.
a lot of that is this fear of failure, again, coming back to the judgment from others?
I think it's a combination. Some people, yes, some people, yeah, some people they don't have the, I don't know, guts maybe, or they're too comfortable in their comfort zone. And when we don't know what's outside of that, it could be scary. I mean, I've been in scary situation. We've been taking some steps in our life that when we look back, we're like, what the hell were we thinking? But we just did it. Because what's the worst thing that could happen anyway? That you die? That would be really tragic, of course. But other than that, these days I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's try it and see. And some of the choices we made together has been so stupid. But we tried, and we failed and it went not good at all, but we tried. So yeah, having that courage to go for it and try, because that word I can't, it's just holding us back, really. And sometimes when people say, oh, you can't do that, Kim, I'm like, ooh, do
Yeah, that
not,
is.
do not, do not. I can tell a short story. Ever since I was 4 years old, I've always said, I'm going to work with dolphins. I'm going to work with dolphins. That's my job. And then I became 6, 7, 8. Oh, I'm still going to work with dolphins. That's what I'm going to do. And then I became a teenager, came up to high school, and, teachers and my friends' parents, they were saying, what are you going to choose for the college or whatever? I mean, it's not the same system in Sweden. And I carried on saying I'm going to work with dolphins, and then they started laughing at me in a weird way, because then I was too old to have that dream of, being a rocket science or whatever. But I still, so I said, okay, right. But because they asked me, what are you really going to do? I'm like, what do you mean what I'm really going to do? I'm going to work with dolphins. So I stopped saying it. And the year 2000, we moved to Mallorca. And I didn't know it was a dolphinarium when we moved there. And I saw it and I said to Ule, I'm going to work there. And he said, yeah, okay, great. But I didn't know a word of Spanish. But I got myself in the door, and I worked the full summer there doing 4 shows a day. We had sea lions, the penguins, the seals, and 5 dolphins in a pool, which is so sad. But I didn't know, because this was a childhood dream. So I only worked there for, a summer, 5 months. And then I stopped. And then my sister and I started a company for special needs, depressed people, to swim with them in the wild on the dolphin terms. So we took people to Hawaii and Bimini. So when people say, Kim, you can't do that, I'm like, you do not tell me I cannot. If I really feel in my heart this is right for me, but because it's not right for them and it's too scary for them, I understand that comment as well, but because normally people say, but what if? But what if? And I'm like, yeah, but what if? What if it goes good? If it doesn't go good, well, at least I've learned something. It's not fun, is it? But I've learned something. So I have a true stubbornness in me when I really, really aim my way somewhere.
I love that so much, and I'm laughing because it's quite funny. I always said I was going to work with animals, but I knew I didn't want to be a vet. No offense,
Yeah.
I just knew I wanted to do things differently. And then I kept making excuses because it was like I got the opportunity to go and work in the jungle, which was my dream. But I had a very old horse I was looking after at the time, and I didn't have anyone else to look after her, so I didn't go. Anyway, very long story short, when I had the children, I retrained in something called equine iridology. So horses doing the iridology, the reading of the eyes for animals, particularly horses.
Wow.
Every single person laughed at me because I was in a very well-paid job, working in telecoms and doing project management and environmental management. And everyone was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. What are you doing? You've got a family, you've got a mortgage. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And they were like, there isn't a job title of an equine iridologist. No one can make money like this. And I was like, right, okay, I just was the best. So I put equine iridologist on my car.
Yeah.
Because I believe in, make it easier for yourself, stamp fees,
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
constantly remind you. And I had the best career, and it was fantastic. And I worked everywhere and I learned so much. And then I added different therapies and everything. And it's just so funny that these
Yeah.
self-limitations. I mean, when at the start of the pandemic, I watched, now what's that film where it's all about V for Vendetta?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of my other friends that were sort of asking the same questions there, we had a V for Vendetta evening, and I looked at it and I was just laughed because I thought throughout my life I could see so many different boxes that I'd put myself into, or
Yeah.
other people had put me in, but the door was open. I could have walked out at
Yes.
any time.
Yeah, I know.
Realize that it's like, I did go through a stage of thinking, oh, God, I could have done this 20 years earlier. But then you let go of that and you think, all in the right time, it's still not too late. So
Yeah.
I think for people that are stuck in that I can't, I do get it, because this is where
Yeah.
you've just got to be cautious of who you're surrounding yourself with. You
Absolutely.
Are you surrounding yourself with people that are saying, yeah, go for it, and whatever happens,
Mm.
I'm still going to be here? Or are you
Mm.
surrounding yourself with those negative Nellies that are like
Mm.
coming up with all the reasons why you shouldn't do something?
Absolutely. Yeah. And be careful who you go. I mean, if you have something new, choose wisely who you're going to tell,
Yes.
about your new plans or whatever, or tell nobody. But it doesn't really matter if you failed, though. Good. You
Yeah,
failed. Good. It went crazy. Good. It doesn't really matter if you really see it. That's good. It might not be fun in the moment if something fails, but it's still good, though, because we still learn. That's the
exactly.
way I try to see it. I, my family knows I need to react. If something happens that is, shit, that totally failed, I react. But 5 minutes later, I'm like, done.
Mm.
Okay, next. Yeah, I
I think
don't.
I think I've definitely got Italian in me, because I'm like this. I'm very much
Yes.
this, and then the next minute I don't hold grudges at all.
No.
But equally, a lot of people don't like it because I like to talk things out and say, "Oh, there's an issue. Let's
Oh, me
discuss
too.
it." Um,
Yeah.
and it's interesting to see. I've got better at reading that perhaps other people don't want to do that.
That's
So,
pretty rare for being British, though, Catherine.
oh, that's why I get
Because
so much
I
trouble.
mean, oh yes, me too. Because we lived in Spain for 20 years, you know, on Costa del Sol. There's so many British. We got so many British friends, and they say yes, but they mean no because they
Yeah,
don't like confrontation, and it's so confusing. And I've been called rudest person in the world because I lay the cards on the table, and I don't mean to be rude. I'm just, you know, can we solve it? And can we, yeah, it's tricky with different cultures as well.
very tricky.
I have to step back a little bit. I can be too blunt.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And it doesn't go down well with the Brits, I tell
No,
you.
it
Um,
doesn't.
when I was in corporate jobs, I always used to, my bosses always used to say, "Look, Catherine, you can't be in a meeting with written all over your face like you're a complete dickhead." It's so obvious what I'm thinking, but I'm getting better. But I'm quite good at poker, so I can hide it. If
Oh, good,
I
good,
say
good,
now,
good.
if I'm being rude, it's a conscious decision.
Yeah, yes.
Um, but yeah, laughter's that. Oh,
Brilliant.
Kim, I could talk to you forever. I
Oh,
think,
the same. It's
yeah, I
lovely.
love these conversations, and I think hopefully people watching, let us know in the comments what you'd like to see talked about. What's happening in your life? What are you struggling with? Because
Yeah.
you can guarantee we'll either have been through it or are going through it or about to go through it. But just bring it back to sort of finish, Kim, in terms of we spoke about this a bit last time. So people are aware of what's going on. I mean, I spoke to the amazing Jane Wigington about the geoengineering, the climate engineering and everything, and I can see it with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We
yeah.
said before,
No.
this once if you've got a white Audi, you'll see white Audis everywhere. Once you've
Mm.
noticed what's going on in the air, the water, politics,
Yeah.
whatever, you start to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Have you got any of your lovely words of wisdom for people to say how to get that balance between informed, not obsessed?
Listen to your body.
Mm.
Because again, everything, all the information comes from the screen or the phone. And I know, even though it feeds the serotonin in the brain and everything, and we're all kind of addicted to it, but listen to your body when it's enough, because it tells you, it really tells you, oh God, and then you get agitated, and then you get a bit of anxiety when you get to all this information is scary as hell.
Mm.
What are we going to do now? They're poisoning the sky and they're changing the weather, and it's aluminium and barium coming down from the sky, and we got no clean water, and what about the food? And it's scary as hell. If I can't change it, because I'm very, very solution focused, so if I can't do anything good about the situation, I tend to step out of it. If I
Mm.
can change something and make a difference, then I tend to do it, because I mean, it just pops up. Living in Bali, it's a poor community around us, so it's easy to help. And people say that about charity as well, but I don't know where to start. Yes, you do. You got three choices when it comes to charity. Either you're interested in the environment, or you're interested in animals, or you're interested in people. If you're interested in people, is it kids, or is it the elderly, or is it the dying? Is it the animals? Pick your animals. God, there are loads of them. Is it the sea you want to save them, or the environment? Is it locally, or if you haven't got the time, have you got a little bit of money, or can you connect? So everybody can do something. So when we just realize that, so pick one of the three and just break it down to what you can do. And that also gives you a bit of peace, because then you feel, okay, I'm doing something, even though it's a tiny bit. But if everybody does a tiny bit in their area of passion, then, we're changing it, aren't we? So again, we don't have to complicate it so much.
I love it. Keep it simple. I'm all for keeping it
Yeah.
simple, and it is so true. These same themes come up over and over again, and the reason they come up over and over again is because they work. So,
Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much. I
Thank
love
you.
these conversations. I really do.
Yeah,
They're
me
so
too.
helpful to me. Really enjoy your time off, your break that you're having.
Will do.
I can't wait to connect on the other side.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
See
Thank
what
you,
happens.
Catherine, for all you do.
Thanks everyone for watching. Let
Thank
us know
you.
your thoughts on what works for you below. We really want to know, because so you might put a comment below that could really transform someone's day, their life. So please do it.
Correct.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.